All right, welcome back to the Homestand Show. Justin Pooney, Albert Vartanian. The Toronto Maple Leafs, as I mentioned, dropped one against the Panthers last night, 3-2 in overtime. Alex Lyon making 38 saves, an undrafted 30-year-old goaltender who's only played 8 games for the Florida Panthers, stands on his head against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Maple Leafs fans go crazy.
Did they go crazy though?
No, maybe a little bit actually. It just a little bit of a.
You're very you have a lot of PTSD towards this loss. You think that it's dangerous.
Yeah, some anxiety got brought up. You see how the Leafs played. I thought they played really well throughout the entire game. Austin Matthews was fantastic once again. I thought Samsonov was actually pretty good. He made some timely saves. But once again, it's like they play well. They run into a hot goalie. They can't close out the games. And like Sheldon Keefe said, we'll play the clip shortly, they let teams hang around. And what happens in the playoffs in deciding games, they let teams hang around. And good goaltending is what stops the Leafs. And we saw it once again against the Panthers. This isn't the be-all and end-all. I completely understand. It reminds me a little bit of what happens in the playoffs when there's a bit of pressure on the Toronto Maple Leafs. And maybe I'm blowing this out of proportion.
There was no pressure on the game yesterday for the Leafs.
What do you mean there's no pressure on the game?
There was no pressure. Like, they already have playoffs are clinched. They pretty much got home ice advantage. Like, it's just one game.
You still want to win the game. You're playing against another team who's fighting for their lives to stay in the playoff race with the Florida Panthers.
Maybe,
they did.
But maybe the Leafs want the Panthers to get in because they can probably push the Bruins a little bit more in a first-round series. So then come a second-round series, a little bit beat up right there.
What's that guy's name who does all the conspiracies? Alex Jones? What are you trying to do here?
It could be true.
It's not.
I'm just putting it out there in the hockey verse.
Am I overreacting? So you'd call this an overreaction?
Yes, you're overreacting.
But you didn't see a hint of that in that game. Thought of you know what? That could be Vasilevsky in the playoffs.
To me, the telling thing was they let a goal. They allowed the Panthers to come back with 1:40 left, and they lost in overtime.
And the power play was horrible.
And 0-4 on the power play.
That can't happen.
Exactly. That to me is the biggest thing of the game. The power play went 0-4. If you have 4 opportunities on the power play, you have to score. You have to take advantage of that. That to me right there for the Toronto Maple Leafs is actually one of the biggest keys come playoff time. Is when you have the man advantage, you have to take advantage.
But is it that concerning? I mean, they have the second best power play unit in the league. Is it just an off night?
It's not. It could just be one night, but you want to make sure your power play is firing on all cylinders going into the playoffs because in the playoffs, the ice goes from however wide it is to half the size. It shrinks. You have less time, less space.
Gotta fight for every inch. That's what Rick Bowness said. It's about inches.
The game is about inches. Yes.
I love this. Around this time in all sport,
just ripping cliches.
You start hearing all the cliches, but it's true, right? The game gets a bit tighter.
Yeah, the Leafs got to make sure they get pucks in deep, get on a forecheck.
Here we go, Sean. Producer Sean, bringing some hockey cliches. Hey, Ellie.
Hey, Ellie's in the background. We're full show today. So I agree with you guys. They let every opponent seem to hang around lately. The power play hasn't been very good. What's been going on with William Nylander? He's got like 2 points in his last 8 games or something. I know he was on a bit of a run before that, so I don't want to nitpick. He's having a fantastic season, but it's almost like him and Austin Matthews switched bodies for a second. Like Matthews was cold, and I mean still playing well, but cold, and now Nylander was playing really hot, and now Matthews is hot, and Nylander's cold. They need this team, like every one of their stars to fire on all cylinders heading into the playoffs.
Totally. I mean, 1 goal in his last 8 games, not 2 goals in his last 9, 3 goals in his last 10. It's not great. And, he's been slumming for a while to the point where Sheldon Keefe threw him down to the 3rd line, thought he was playing better, bumped him up to the 2nd line, but nothing's really changed. He's doing everything. I will say this. He's pretty much doing everything except scoring and generating serious scoring chances. I'm not concerned about Willie Nylander, honestly.
You're not? No. Even considering his playoff performances of late?
He was good in the last playoffs against Tampa Bay.
But he's still,
really good player.
Everybody remembers him turtling against Tampa and stuff like that in the corner.
When turtling?
Remember he didn't go in for a forecheck whatever last year in the playoffs or whatever.
I mean, all these fans have something to say about forechecking and hitting with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Exactly, but I think with William Nylander, it's so critical for him to have a strong performance this playoffs, right? You know what you're going to get with
the whole team,
the whole team, right? And he's on pace to get 90 points this year, right? You talk about quiet seasons for Matthew Tkachuk, almost 100 points or whatever. William Nylander could quietly have a 40-goal, 90-point season this year.
Yeah, he's having a career year. 36 goals, 45 assists, 81 points. The career high, actually, in goals. Let's run the clip of Sheldon Keefe on his thoughts after last night's game.
Yeah, I thought we played a good game. Didn't score enough to win, and then made some mistakes at the end that, cost us the extra point. Whether it's power plays or some of the chances we had at 5-on-5, had opportunities to bury them and build the substantial lead, and we've seen this a lot, where you let teams hang around and they end up getting points from you.
You can't let teams hang around. You're laughing while he was talking. What was so funny? What was so funny about Sheldon Keefe there?
So people that view it every day, right? You kind of sometimes you sweat a little bit on the show, right?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
And Sheldon Keefe kind of looked like you.
Oh,
during
yeah,
the Homestand
that's me.
Show.
Yeah. When you hit me with these questions, I'm sweating like crazy. Yesterday I was sweating.
But
pretty
no,
bad.
look, he's right. They did play a good game. They just couldn't score. And most scoring is supposed to.
He doesn't seem to be too worried about it.
He's not. Like I think he knows better than anybody what his team is going to be like. His team they're fine. They're going to be the second seed. They're going to host game 1. It just depends on how they come out in game 1. That's all that matters right now.
I think a really important discussion we should have right now. Who's going to be the number 1 goalie come playoff?
Please, no.
I won't do that to you, but we are going to talk about that soon because it's around the corner, and it probably is one of the biggest talking points. I want to touch on Paul Maurice. One of the best blow-ups I've seen in recent time. He ripped into his team. The glasses came off. If you're you don't even have to be a lip reader. Look at this. Going bananas. There was one point, that lady behind Paul Maurice, she was shocked by what she was hearing. And the players, listen, they didn't really listen because they came out and got a penalty. Leafs had a power play. It could have screwed up everything, but they somehow turned it around and won the game. Here's Paul Maurice on that bit of a blow-up he had against the Leafs.
Well, what you saw, unless you're a Leaf fan, which everything was great on the other side of that. No, I just had it was more of a cleanse for the coach. A cleanse. I needed to. It was cathartic.
Did you know it was offside? Did you sense that it was offside? Or you thought it was a goal at that point?
Oh, I didn't care. Oh, no. Oh, so when I called the timeout, I knew it was offside. And then I thought it was a very nice opportunity to share feelings.
A very nice opportunity to share feelings.
The coaching cleanse.
Does he not seem, honestly, like he looks like he's a mix of the nicest guy you'll ever meet, but the most terrifying guy you'll ever meet in your life. He's almost like a Kuklinski, like the Iceman.
Yeah, no, I love Paul Maurice as a head coach. And he's been around the block forever.
He was with the Leafs for a little bit, too.
Yeah, he was with the Leafs. I swear he hasn't even aged at all.
The Jets,
the Jets.
But you see that, and you're like, man, some of these coaches, what they go through, like that's Papa blood vessel territory.
Think about how upsetting this season has been for him and the Panthers. They were the best team in the Eastern Conference last year. Now look at them. They're fighting for their playoff lives after they added Matthew Tkachuk. You still got guys like Barkov, and here they are. And sometimes you need just to get into your players a little bit. And I think with Paul Maurice, it did the right trick because they end up turning around and they locked it down defensively, of course, had good goaltending, and they ended up winning the game. And I honestly think this win last night for the Panthers could propel them into the playoffs and catch that last wild card
Possibly.
spot.
They got the Habs tonight, which will be a tough game on a back-to-back. Pittsburgh also in action against the Predators. The Predators fighting for their lives as well. So a lot going on in the NHL. Quickly, I want to touch on Keith Tkachuk.
Yes.
The father of the Tkachuk boys.
Yes.
He had this to say. He goes, this is do or die for the Panthers right now. They're a soft team, and they're getting everything they deserve right now. They should be a lot better than they're showing right now. Thoughts on the father coming out and bashing his son's team?
LeVar Ball?
I mean, Tkachuk has a bit more credit than
I'm just
LeVar Ball.
Look, it's fine. I have no problem with it, right? Keith Tkachuk is
He gets around. He gets a lot of love, eh?
Yeah,
Tkachuk?
he's a really popular guy. You listen on all these other outlets and stuff like that.
But is this an area where it's like, okay, be quiet. We don't need to hear that from you.
I don't have a problem with it. Look, if he was asked the question, he gave an honest answer, and that's what we want from people, right?
True, yeah.
If you give him a question, you want an honest answer. He didn't tiptoe around it. He was just straight up, and I think that's how his sons are, right? They're straight up players on the ice, and they'll say what they feel off the ice.
Can we put
as
you in
well.
Matthew Tkachuk's shoes?
Okay.
And your dad just said that.
Play better.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Simple as that.
I'd be upset, I think.
Why?
Like, Dad, why are you saying that, Dad? Come on, we're trying. We're trying, Dad.
Nah, just you take it, compartmentalize, and play better.
All right, producer Sean, you got something to say?
Yeah. So I was thinking about that. Like you guys talking about Paul Maurice and how he blows a blood vessel. I mean, when you're in charge of anything like The Office here, like think about how Kevin Kennedy wants to blow a blood vessel, or you're a parent of a kid, right?
I've seen
Like,
you a
you
few
just-
times pretty
you
close.
popped the
actually.
Yeah, I
blood
mean,
vessels
like
here?
you just get so close to when you're in charge and you feel accountable for that team or your kids, you're just gonna blow up sometimes.
Yeah, I like it. I think that's the type of guy I'd want to have in the
Did
dressing room
Sean
as a coach.
insinuate that he were his children right there?
I think so, a little
Okay.
bit. Sean, I love you. Okay, coming up, not Noor Zainab, Bobby Conway is going to join us from Bet99 to talk some hockey.